Yo, what's good? Big Z here, and today I'm going to show you guys how I made my new single called It's Over.
Gave me too many years of my life. I suffer.
First of all, I'm doing a little contest where one of you guys can win a 1-hour Skype session with me to talk about anything that you want, and also a free mix and master from me. So all you have to do to enter is go to Spotify, I'll leave a link down below, and go stream the track and save it to your liked songs on Spotify. Then to enter, just take a screenshot of yourself listening to the track on Spotify and DM me the screenshot on Instagram. And that's how you enter. So in 1 week, I'll pick the winner of that contest. Anyway, let's get into how I made the track. I'm just going to start from the beginning of the instrumental and just go through every part of the song. And I'll also show you how I process the vocals at the end too. So in this project right here, I have all the instrumental, and then the vocals down here to save CPU I did in a different project. So I just have the acapella down here. But like I said, I'll show you that other vocal project later. So the idea for this song was actually built around a piano loop from Splice. So I was having trouble coming up with a new track idea. So I downloaded this piano loop from Splice. Let me see if I can get the original here for you. Yeah, I believe this is the original piano loop right here. If I just take these effects off. All I did to start the song was take that loop and chop it up. And here's what it sounds like chopped up. As you can probably hear, I also added some little reverses in there just to keep the energy moving. But yeah, that's the idea that the entire track was built around. So in the intro, I also chopped up the piano to introduce those chords a little bit. And I just added a ton of reverb on them. So that's this track right here. This reverb sounds so nice. I was probably just scrolling through the presets on Valhalla Vintage Verb and came upon this one and kind of tweaked the settings a little bit. But other than that, I just filtered it with this EQ, and I added some delay to make it sound even bigger and more spacey. Layered with that in the intro, we have some vinyl crackle noise, this atmosphere loop right here that I made. And then I kind of introduced some of the vocals too.
I've been alright, I'm just honest. Hide my face in public, hoping I don't see you. Self-conscious, I've been riding, yeah.
So let's get into some of the synth sounds here. So I really like this break bass sound. I think every single synth sound that I made for the song actually ended up in my new Serum preset pack. So you can check that out below if you want it. But this sound is a cool break bass sound. Sounds like this by itself. I just added some reverb and delay to it to add some space.
It's honest, hide my face in public, hoping I don't see you. Self-conscious, I've been riding, yeah. Can't even see the road. Tears in my eyes while I'm driving, and I don't wanna know where you been and who you.
Start introducing these flutter chords. And I open those up with a macro control just to add some energy and flow to the break. And here's that arpeggio sound in the background.
Peace, lay awake at night, 'cause they on me.
Now Now for the chorus, I really just wanted everything to break down and it'd be really simple, just with vocals and that chopped up piano loop that I showed you earlier. So here's what that part sounds like.
Been wasting all my time just wishing you were by my side, but now I'm through. Gave you too many years of my life. I suffer.
So all I'm doing in this build-up chorus section is just filtering in that piano loop right there. I have some atmosphere in the background too, just to fill up the space some more. Then I've added these snare drums and effects just to kind of build up the energy right here. And the way I like to do snare builds is sample the snare and put it into Logic Sampler. So whatever snare I used, I put in Logic Sampler right here. And that way I can mess around with the velocities just to make it sound a little more realistic. So here you can see, if I go to the velocity tool, I can easily change around all these velocities. Just gives me way more control that way. Now for the drop.
Maybe too many years of my life. I suffer. No, never die. No, never die. No, I'm
I guess I'll talk about how I made the vocal chops first. So what I did is take the vocals I had and just took off the reverb and delay, and then I chopped up those vocals and then put them in a sampler. So down here, these are the chopped up vocals I ended up putting in the sampler.
right. I wanna know.
Then here is the sampler track. So I use Logic EXS24 right here, and I put all those audio files in there, and then I just messed around on the keyboard until I got some kind of melody that I wanted.
No, never die. No, never die. No, I'm.
And in between those vocal chops, you'll obviously hear the woo vocals up here.
No, never die. No, never die. No, I'm through.
I'll get into vocal processing later, but it's pretty much the exact same vocal processing I did on the actual lead vocals. All I did was pitch it down some with the Infected Mushroom Manipulator plugin. I just pitched the formant down. So we've got the vocal chops, then we obviously have the chopped up piano loop in the background. Let's add the bass to that. There's 3 different bass layers. So I'll go over those bass layers real quick. So the main bass layer is just a really clicky sine bass. So I'm just adding some attack here with envelope 3 that's modulating the pitch of the sound. In the effects section, I just have some multi-band compression, tube distortion, and this filter on here that's being controlled by envelope 1. Layered with that, I have a wider bass sound right here. It's really low in the mix, it's just to kind of thicken up that main bass. And this layer is almost identical to the preset from the other sound. I just added 4 voices of unison and detuned them a little bit, so it'd be wider in the stereo field. And also added this EQ, just cutting everything off below 130 Hz to make room for the sub bass from the other bass, and everything above like 500 Hz. Then just to give the bass some more power and attack and punch, I added this 3rd layer. And this one, I'm just cutting off everything below 260 Hertz to make room for those other basses. I also have a little pitch bend in here to give the basses some more movement. So on to the second part of the drop where I introduce a couple new things just to add more energy. Let's talk about these stab sounds here. So it's two layers. It's a serum layer right here. Really clean sounding stab. And I just added some reverb to that to put it in a little space. Added some saturation to the high end just to make it nice and crispy. So layered with that serum layer, I have this Nexus layer. It's a more real sounding brass sample just to make it sound a little more realistic with that synthetic stab above it. So this is called BA Big Brass. I forget what expansion pack it's in, but layered with this stab, it sounds really nice. I'll solo all the drums down here so you can check them out. And I also introduced the atmospheric layers back in the second half of the drop too.
Hey, yeah, take it if you want it.
Then the second half of the song really just takes the parts I already showed you and rearranges them in new ways just to keep the energy flowing. So now let's jump into the other project and I'll show you how I process the vocals. So now we're in the vocal project. I just have the instrumental up here that I used as a guide while I was processing the vocals.
Been wasting all my time just wishing you were by my side, but now I'm through.
So I actually tuned the vocals in Melodyne in another project before this, and then I sent the tune vocals into this project. Let me take all these plugins off and I'll just go one by one. So for processing, I started off with this Waves de-esser.
Been wasting all my time just wishing you were by my side, but now I'm
Then I added the Waves R compressor, which sounds really nice on vocals.
ooh. Been wasting all my time just wishing you were by my side, but now I'm
Then I didn't do the best job at tuning in Melodyne, so I also added this Waves Tune plugin to tune them even further, just not manually this time.
ooh. Been wasting all my time just wishing you were by my side, but now I'm
Then I have some EQ on here.
ooh. Been wasting all my time just wishing you were by my side, but now I'm
I love using this dynamic EQ to reduce some of the muddy frequencies in vocals, like around 800 or 400 hertz.
ooh.
Then I just boosted the high end to make it a little bit brighter. And then I added this saturation plugin right here and just boosted the high end a tiny bit more to add a little bit of sparkle on top.
Ooh, been wasting all my time just wishing you were by my side, but now I'm through.
But I just wanted to add that as a really subtle effect. And then all we have after that is really reverbs and delays. So I like to put a really short reverb right on the track sometimes. So I have this Valhalla Vintage Verb, and it has a really short decay time, and the mix is only at 15%.
Ooh, been wasting all my time just wishing you were by my side, but now I'm through.
It just puts the vocals in a nice tight room before I send it to bigger reverbs. So for the other reverbs, I'm using these send tracks down here.
Ooh,
But I'm actually not using that much reverb for this song, so the sends are actually pretty low in the amount. So I have this bigger reverb on here. It's this preset in Valhalla Vintage Verb called Amazing Vocal, and I really love it for nice big vocals. Then I just have some delay on there as well. And for both those, the reverb and the delay, I'm side chaining those signals to the original vocal.
Been wasting all my time just wishing you were by my side, but now I'm through.
That way the reverb and delay just duck out of the way a little bit when the vocal is playing, just to make it come through to the front of the mix a little bit better. For background vocals, I like to make them a little bit more wet. So I sent these background vocals to the same reverb and delay I just showed you. I just increased the amount a lot, so there's a lot more reverb and delay, so they sound bigger than the more dry lead vocal. Then I usually increase the effect of the de-esser on background vocals, because you don't want a bunch of S sounds. When an S sound comes through, you only want the S's coming from the lead vocal, because it sounds weird when you have an S sound coming from the left side, the right side, and the middle. I also added one more EQ to these background vocals, just to cut off a little bit more of the low end. This way they don't add any muddiness to the lead vocals. Then all the other vocals here pretty much use that same exact processing. I have the rap verse right here.
Hey, yeah. Take it if you want it. Rip my heart out. Worst part is I condoned it. Remember riding around in a Nissan looking for a reason to stay.
So here's what that verse sounds like before the processing.
Take it if you want it. Rip my heart out. Worst part is I condoned it. Remember. Take it if you want it. Rip my heart out. Worst part is I condoned it. Remember riding around in a Nissan looking for a reason to stay out till the morning.
So I'm not doing anything crazy to his voice because it sounds really good already. I'm really just using de-essing to get those harsh S's reduced, and then I'm compressing it to kind of even out the signal more so it doesn't sound so all over the place dynamically. And then I'm adding EQ, obviously, to brighten it up and reduce some of those muddy frequencies. And then I just have some reverb and delay on there. I think the lesson here is you don't need to go overboard with your vocal processing. Just keep it simple. Alright, I think I've pretty much showed you everything in this track. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, to enter the contest, all you have to do is go stream the song and like it on Spotify, and then just send me a screenshot of you listening to it. Send it to me on Instagram in my DMs, and I'll pick the winner in a week. So thank you guys for watching, and other than that, I'll catch you next time. Peace.
I suffer.